Today, I'd like to talk about remote viewing, which is an unusual subject. But I was talking to a few of my colleagues, and we were sort of remembering some courses that we used to hold in Spain together. And one of them was literally getting the students to get into a very relaxed state. Obviously, I talked them down into the right space so that the person was very, very relaxed. And then we were talking about softening the etheric body around them and just imagining that they could do that. So that's the body that is the duplicate, the more or less the blueprint of your physical body, but it's your energy body, the etheric body. And we had all sorts of challenges for them. It was a great big building that I was teaching in, and it was very old, and it had lots of big paintings and bits and pieces. So what I actually did was I got a spoon from the canteen and I placed it behind one of the paintings. And this was sort of like a three-story building, very old, great big stairwells and what have you. And this painting was right at the top of one of the stairwells. So I was experimenting with them to see if they could remotely view and come out of body and walk around this beautiful building and find and locate this spoon. So, remarkably, when we did this, I obviously had written it down on a piece of paper, so it was there saying where I put the spoon and where it was. And I gave them some sort of ideas that, to allow themselves to just imagine that they're completely able to do it, that it's just second nature. And just to remove, that immediate, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be able to do this, but just to remove that and just to find it as a really joyful experience, a really sort of fun experience, so that, they weren't putting any stress on themselves in order to find the spoon. So they did. I mean, at least out of the group, there were about 40 students in the group, and out of them, 4 located it. And of course, when they came out of the meditation, they would be writing it down, drawing bits and pieces, whatever was in their mind, and whatever they felt took them to wherever they thought the spoon was. And 4 of them managed to find the location, and they were absolutely gobsmacked. So I thought I really want to talk about that today. So let's just do that. So when we're looking at this, it's a fascinating subject, and it's been around for a long, long time. And the thing is, though, it's actually been used quite recently during the war. Certain people were trained to come out of body and to be able to find specific intelligence locations where, they thought there were planes or whatever. But these people were actually trained by the military to do that. So I was thinking, what if the mind is not the only way that we receive information? And what if there's another sort of intelligence available to us, sort of like a quieter intelligence, and an intelligence that doesn't think? Because, like I was saying, I was telling my students, chill, just treat this as a game, take all the stress away, and just say to yourself, I can do this. And many of us, I feel, have sort of experienced moments that seem totally impossible to explain. I'm sure you can recall, a time when there was something that was happening with you that you just knew something or whatever, and you can't explain why it felt right and why you were drawn to that conclusion, and then you found out, of course, that it was true. So maybe most of our lives we're taught to trust our mind above everything else. we analyze, don't we? We calculate, we evaluate, we think harder, we gather more information. And yet many of life's greatest insights arrive when we stop thinking. And I think we've discussed a lot about that in these podcasts, about how the thoughts are, where do the thoughts come, and how we generally, when we're really, really relaxed, they come out of the blue. The answer might come, when you're in the shower, or a solution arrives whilst you're, out having a walk. So the other thing is as well, we get lots of feelings that emerge during meditation. So all of these things are sort of, we can't quite explain them, but they actually do happen, and they have a meaningful effect on whatever it was that we were trying to solve. So I think it's almost as though there is another channel perhaps operating beneath the noise of our left brain, of our analytical mind. And that brings us to a fascinating area that I was discussing with my colleagues yesterday. And that is the area of exploration known as the living field perception. The idea suggests that consciousness may not be confined solely to the brain. Instead, we may be participating in a vast field of information and intelligence. And according to this perspective, intuition is not imagination. It is perception. So, like I was saying about the military remote viewing program explored whether people could access information that was beyond the limits of their physical senses. And it worked. It worked during World War II. We know that, there's lots of stories that are available of people being able to pinpoint information literally, by going into this altered states of mind and just allowing it to happen, allow it almost to go out of body, and to more or less, part of the imagination would take them to the area that they needed to remotely view, and then just see what occurred. So there was no sort of stress to do that. There was no pressure to do that. And for more than 20 years, intelligence agencies investigated whether trained individuals could perceive distant locations, events, and objects. While the results remain possibly controversial, one thing does stand out though. Many of the most successful remote viewers describe the process in a very surprising way. They didn't say that they saw the information. They said they felt it, which is incredible. So they sensed it, or they knew it. The information emerged as impressions. So a lot of them were making little drawings on a piece of paper, or maybe they'd have a map, or so, it would emerge through impressions, or emotions, how they felt, or textures, feel the texture of a mountain area, or of, sort of concrete area, or grasslands, or whatever. But there was a subtle awareness there. And I think that sounds remarkably similar to how many spiritual practitioners describe intuition. They don't know where it comes from, but they just know. And they're feeling it rather than seeing it. And perhaps that is where the heart enters the story. Not merely the physical heart, but the energetic heart, the feeling heart, the center of connection. And as we, progress with these chats that we have on here, the discussions that we have on here, the heart seems to come for me more and more predominantly as being the center of intelligence, the center of where we need to go, rather than to always go into our analytical mind and our brain. So I do feel, yes, that the heart is the center of connection. And then across cultures and traditions, the heart has been viewed as more than a biological pump. As we know, spiritualists have spoken of the heart as a doorway, a bridge between the human and the divine, a place where the separation sort of dissolves, and then we get sort of a direct knowing, and we glean information from that knowing as it emerges. So perhaps the challenge is not learning how to receive information. Perhaps it's learning how to become quiet enough to notice what's already there. The analytical mind is incredibly useful, though, but it's also very loud in the sense that it's going off on all different tangents, and also the analytical mind is pulling on what we've already learned. And if you're being asked to remote see, you don't know that information, so you can't really get that information from your analytical mind. And it's constantly seeks certainty. It wants proof. It wants answers, whereas the heart is different. The heart rests in awareness of how we are feeling. It listens. It receives those feelings. And maybe that's why so many people report that their deepest guidance arrives not when they're trying really, really, really hard and putting loads of effort into it, but actually when they're doing something effortlessly and they're not even thinking about something, when it's, sort of, they're doing it through stillness. So today I want to invite you to consider a simple possibility. What if intuition is not something you develop? And I feel that, but obviously these podcasts are for you to decide for yourself. But I feel that the intuition is our higher intellect. It's our higher self. It's got all the answers, all the solutions. Everything's always there. But it's us who are stopping ourselves from actually, channeling into that, or just relaxing enough to actually allow the solutions to come forward. So what if intuition is not something that you need to develop? What if it's something that you need to uncover in yourself? What if the signal is already present? And like I say, I feel that we are magnificent beings. We don't know what the whole of the brain is there for. There's a lot of the brain, good 10% is more or less what we use on a regular basis, but there's a huge amount of the brain that we don't actually know what it's for. And all that remains is perhaps learning how to listen again to our intuition, to our feelings. So let's explore that together now. We're going to do an exercise. So obviously, you can't be driving or doing something that needs your focus. So if you just find somewhere comfortable to sit down or lie down where you'll not be disturbed. And I would also say, don't go and lie on the bed or whatever, lie on the floor rather, because it seems to me, with experience with my students, that if you're not particularly comfortable and if you're not particularly overly warm and cozy, that's when it seems to be easier to do out-of-body exercises, or to do the remote viewing. So maybe you're lying on the floor, maybe you've got the window slightly open, so you've got a gentle breeze in the room, and you haven't got a cover over you. So you're just, lying there, and I want you to close your eyes and take a slow breath in through your nose and gently exhale. And then do it again, taking a slow breath in through your nose and then gently exhaling. And then slowly breathe in and release. And allow the shoulders to soften. Allow the jaw to relax. And allow the body to become still. Now bring your awareness away from your thoughts. Notice that thoughts are still there, but you don't need to stop them. Just simply allow them to drift into the background. Now place one hand or both hands over the center of your chest. And imagine your awareness moving from your head into your heart. And there's nothing to force, nothing to achieve. You're simply imagining that you are breathing through your heart. Breathing in through your heart and out through your heart. So do that a few times, slowly and gently and rhythmically, nothing forced. You want it really natural. And as you continue breathing, imagine a soft sphere of light beginning to glow within your chest. And with every breath, the light expands. And it feels warm and comforting, nurturing and alive. And now ask yourself, what does my heart already know that my mind has not yet understood? So don't search for an answer. Don't think about it. Just simply remain open and allow impressions to arise. It could be a feeling. It could be a colour. It could be a memory or a word or a sensation, or perhaps nothing appears at all, and that's perfectly fine. You need to stay present and stay receptive. And imagine your awareness expanding beyond the boundaries of your body, beyond the room. Your awareness expanding, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, beyond your physical form. And imagine yourself resting within a vast field of living intelligence, a field of connection, a field of possibility, a field that supports life itself. And then ask quietly, what would be helpful for me to know today? Then simply listen. Observe, receive, without judgment. Don't analyze it, without any expectations. And after a few moments, just bring your awareness back to your breathing, back to your body, back to the room. And then place your attention once again on your heart. Offer gratitude for whatever arose, whether it was profound insight or simply a moment of stillness. And then take a deeper breath. Now we're going to repeat that again, but this time I want you to allow yourself to expand out, expand into the room, expand as if you're going through the ceiling, out into the sky, and then you're observing. So let's just try that. So taking a nice deep breath again, breathing through your heart. So breathing in through your heart and breathing out through your heart. And just do that for a few moments, slowly and gently and naturally. And as you continue breathing, imagine a soft spear of light beginning to glow within your chest. And with every breath, the light expands, and it feels warm and comforting and nurturing, and it feels alive. Now allow that beautiful energy to get bigger and bigger so that it fills the room that you're in. And this is your energy. And allow it to get so big that it permeates through the roof or the walls of the room that you're in. And just go with your breathing, breathing in and breathing out through your heart center and expanding this light, your light. So now it's getting even bigger still, and it's out into the blue sky, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And now what I want you to do is placing your hands on your heart. I want you to say to yourself, what does my heart already know that my mind has not yet understood? And again, don't search for an answer. Don't think about anything, just simply remain that you are so expanded. Your energy is so huge, and it's getting bigger and bigger. And I want you to observe perhaps the top of your house, the roof of your house, maybe going even higher still, allowing the breath to expand your awareness even more. Maybe you can see the other houses, maybe the road, maybe getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's like you're getting higher and higher, and you're looking down and you can see more and more and more of the area of where you live. And just as an experiment, allow yourself to pinpoint your focus on somewhere. It could be a bench in a park. And I want you to allow your awareness to observe that bench. Look at it really carefully, look at the colour. Maybe there's a plaque on the bench. Notice what is around it, whether it's in the middle of grass or it's got flowers around it, or there might be a boundary of trees, or there might be water. Just have a look. This is in your space. This is around where you live. But it's going somewhere that you wouldn't normally have focused upon. So just make a note in your mind. You're not thinking about it, you're just allowing impressions to arise, feelings to arise. maybe a colour, or maybe you can see a specific tree, or a plant, or a flower. Now stay in that for a moment, just observing. This amazing awareness that you've expanded beyond the boundaries of your body, that you expanded into the room that you're lying on the floor, out of that room, beyond your physical form. And imagine that you're resting within that vast field of living intelligence, a field of connection, a field of possibility, a field that supports life itself. Now just allow yourself to observe that area, that bench, that park, or wherever it is that you have focused upon. Receive it without judgment. You're not analysing it. Now it's time to allow your awareness to come back into your breathing, back into your body. So feel that awareness coming back. Be aware that you're now above your house or your home. You can see the roof. And then imagine that your awareness is coming through the roof. It's just descending down through the roof and into the room. And then back into your breathing, back into your body. And then place your attention once again on your heart and offer gratitude for whatever arose, whether it was a profound insight or simply a moment of stillness, or maybe you were able to see that bench or whatever it was with clarity. And the thing is, you'll be able to go and visit that part of where you felt that you were looking and see if what you had sensed or what you intuited that you had seen or felt, see if it's there, the plants or the grass or whatever was around that bench. Go and see if what you saw is actually a reality. So now take a deeper breath and gently wiggle your fingers and toes. Make sure that you feel that you're back in your body, that you're not spacey. And then when you're ready, open your eyes and come back into your room. And carry the feeling of the heart with you throughout your day, and notice what happens when you listen before you think. Notice what happens when you feel before you analyze. And notice what guidance may already be waiting for you in the quiet spaces between your thoughts. So maybe we'll have a question here. What if intuition isn't predicting the future at all? What if it's sensing possibilities already present within the field around us? So maybe have a little think about that. Until next week, when I speak to you again.